Thank you.
Rangmesh, thank you for keeping your cameras on. Everyone doing well so far? Are you all? Actually, I have to ask, Argentina or Spain? What are we? What are we rooting for?
It's again one more interview question putting on the spot for us.
Is Spain winning?
Spain?
Yeah.
Should I say? I'm also Team Spain. All right. Thanks for joining. Okay, lots of Team Spain. Amazing, amazing. Really, really excited to have you all here. Thank you. I see quite a few familiar faces, so thank you very much for joining today. Um, Today is exciting. We are going to talk a little bit about leverage. And by leverage, I mean we are talking about how we are going to use AI. Well, practically, we want to talk about how to build super agent and blueprint. That's the practical stuff that we are going to talk about. But I'm really excited to talk about why that matters at all. And, just wanted to share a little bit of personal story. I was actually contemplating this yesterday. So I was thinking about what makes for, you know, top performer. And I was thinking about this morning, hiring currently for AI product managers on my team. And I've been interviewing, I've been thinking like what makes for a good performer? What are the signals and how has that changed over the last few years? And it got me thinking, just like product software was non-deterministic over the years, right? We were always optimizing for predictability, consistency, and similarly, I think for people also, we were always optimizing for uh, the top performers used to be folks who are holding the fort at all times, getting things done. You give them a job and you know that it's going to get done, and it's going to get done well. There is an element of perfection that we were always aiming for from the outputs rather than outcomes. And then now, as I see that changing in the world of AI and especially as it relates to hiring new talent, I feel and I'm curious actually from you all, before we get started, just waiting for some people to join. So one thing I was noticing, I'm like, even in hiring and even in like top performers, the bar has shifted a little bit. We now the definition of top performer, everything that I mentioned, the predictability, the work ethic, the showing up consistently is still the the bar, but the ceiling has raised a little bit further, and you want people who can experiment with this technology, learn with it, be scrappy, not aim for perfection, but truly like just see what it can do and push the envelope, push the boundary a little bit. And that was kind of an interesting thought to me, and I was wondering if everyone else thinks that way too. But that's just a little ramble here and there. But let's get started. Actually, we have 77 of us here. So thank you very much for joining. My name is Kayuri Anand. Today we are going to be talking about how to build a super agent. And our tool of choice is going to be Claude. We're going to use Claude to build this super agent. Let me quickly share my screen and tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm here and what we are going to talk about today. So you all can see my screen? Yes, you can. My name is Kayuri Anand. I'm a director of AI products. I recently joined Applied System as director of AI products. I've spent over a decade building products and software. I also sit on the board of a couple of product management related organizations. What I really want you to take away from this is the fact that I didn't mention that I was an engineer, I was a software engineer, or I was a technical person, because I wasn't. I started my journey as a completely non-technical person. Everything I know, whether it's about building software or building AI, I know that because I have taught myself, self-learned, always be open to learning and kind of just figured it out myself. And the reason I want to share that with you all is because for two reasons, right? One is for you to know that it's possible. So if you are a non-technical person, you can also teach a lot of these yourselves. And two, I've been told that I have a knack for explaining highly complex technical topics into a very simplified manner. So that's kind of why I started this course specifically focused on non-technical audience. So if you are actually, let me ask you, what domain are you all from? Marketing, sales, like what different areas of work do you all come from? And what is your interest? Like, why do you want to learn AI? Because I have a hypothesis. I have a hypothesis that as companies are pushing Claude or Copilot, whatever the tool of choice is, AI tool of choice is for the company, it's being pushed and everyone's getting access, varying degrees of limitations, but it's there and folks are expected to use it. There isn't a lot of training available for, especially if you look online, a lot of the training is focused on super technical, like it assumes a baseline technical know-how from people. So you're expected to know it, learn it from starting from that baseline. I wanted to create a course that is starting from a little bit earlier, like much more basic, much more hands-on, and not focus on how to build AI products, but more focus on how to use the products that we have access to in our different domains, like whether it's UX designer or product or financial services, consulting, finance, healthcare, marketing, recruitment, all of it, how to use these tools to actually supercharge the work that you do and make yourself super productive. And while you use these tools for your own benefits, you kind of use that, turn that into a leverage. So package that into productivity gains as well as becoming the go-to person that knows AI on your team. That's kind of the whole intention of why I built a course around it, why I show up every Saturday, because I want to help folks get to that point, and especially those who are at the same starting point as I was, because there isn't a lot of content available, or if it is, it's very generic and here and there isn't anything structured. Okay, so now that you know my why, let us actually get this time for real, get started on our content. So some reason Canva did an update and now I can't make it into a full screen. So sorry about that. Today's session, we're gonna have to bear with this until after the session I restart and figure it out. But here we are. Let's have fun while learning. I have those of you who have your cameras on, I have you on this other screen. So I'll be able to see you. Please keep your cameras on. It helps me stay engaged and know your nods, and it doesn't matter. I don't care if you're eating, you're taking a walk, it doesn't matter. Seeing your face helps me keep going. So thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, to keeping your cameras on. Mics off, preferably. As I get through the content, we'll have blocks of questions. There will be time where I'll open up for questions. So at that time, feel free to ask them. Reactions, emojis, all of those are highly welcome. Okay, with that out of the way, let us talk about what is the goal for today. So we are already 10 minutes in. Next half an hour or so, half an hour, 45 minutes, what you'll leave with. We are going to build a super agent. So you're going to leave with a blueprint. Think of this like an anatomy of an agent, what you need to think through as you're building agents. Once you build one, I want to leave you with, we're going to build one generic one today because I want to serve everyone in this 45 minute. But know that once you build this one with me today, you'll be able to build, it's a rinse and repeat. 17 components across all the 5 layers. And basically, the goal of this agent is going to be to get you from a little bit better than chatting with AI to giving it a specific role and persona of what it can do. And the goal is make it do that thing consistently, repeatably, day after day, and hopefully you can put it on a schedule as well. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the actual blueprint, then we're going to get into the build, and you're going to leave with handouts, homework sheets, step-by-step guides to help you build 2 more in your own time. And of course, my contact information at the end, so you can reach out to me if you do choose to build the other 2 on your own time and get stuck. I'll be more than happy to handhold you through that. Okay, usually in my sessions, we do a technical concept and a actual blackboard where we learn about some machine learning technical concept. Today, because we want to get right to the building part, we're going to skip that and we're just going to talk about the mindset shift. So the main thing I want to highlight here is I'm assuming most of you are already chatting with ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, whichever choice of LLM that you have, but you're probably chatting with it for every different thing that you use it for. You're probably using it kind of similar to how you were used to using Google search. Or if you are good at prompting, you're probably writing elaborate prompts every single time you ask it to do something. So the difference, the next unlock from here is this idea of super agent. So that's why I'm saying prompt is like a temp worker, right? Every time they come in, you have to give them all the context of your company, your role here. Today you are working as this person or that person. Super agent, or the agent that we're going to build, think of this like a permanent hire. So you're building a teammate that you are going to train it together today for it to do one thing and do it really well, consistently, day by day, every day, without having to write that whole prompt over and over again. That's kind of the idea. So super agent is going to get a job description. We're going to give it once. And then after that, you outsource your work to it, and it does that one thing that we gave it or taught it to do for more consistency. And the idea is once you know how to build one, you can build more and you can have army of agents, so to speak. Okay, so the main difference from prompting to going into an agentic world is you want to give the same consistent quality on Tuesday and Friday or whenever it is that you're doing. And it's the way we get there is the underlying architecture. So now, why is this on the edge? In 2026, I already talked about that mindset idea, right? That at least in my world in product, and I've spoken to several people, and I think this is going across the work areas, is where the idea of you being a top performer on your team or showing up successfully in your career has expanded, like the boundary has expanded, the ceiling has risen a little bit, showing up every day, being the last person to leave. Those general signals that were looked at before are no longer the same. That those things may be still expected, but there is a little bit more that's expected from more or less everyone who has access to AI. And if it isn't, then I have a hunch that it's going to get there in the next year or so. So the idea is that we go from using ChatGPT or Copilot like rest of our coworkers to a bit further than them, showing up before everyone, doing more than everyone else without having to spend more time than everyone else. That's kind of the idea. So the advantage isn't using more software. Like maybe you spend more time upfront setting it up, but once you do, it is such a repeatable, consistent process that you reap the benefits of it. And then if you can teach it to others in your organization, that puts you right at the helm of being the go-to AI person on your team. So a super agent, essentially in today's world, what we are going to do is a Claude project with engineered context window. So I'm very bullish on Claude. I like to use Claude as my tool of choice. You are welcome. If I understand that not everybody uses Claude, a lot of what I'm going to teach is transferable. So you can, in Claude, we have project. If you're using ChatGPT, you can also build a project in ChatGPT. So just take the skills and it's very much transferable to other tools. So we're gonna build a Claude project with an engineered context window. So we're gonna give it instructions that it can read, use, remember all the time. Context files are examples of what good looks like. So that's glossaries. If it's a drafting agent, it's templates. If you are using it to respond to your emails, it's samples of your past emails that you have written, so it knows how you write. So it doesn't look like AI written. It looks like it emulates your voice, your persona. If you're using it for work, any reference documents, anywhere where intelligence lives, we as humans always, if you think about, if you intentionally think about how we do our work, every time you do a task, whether it's a simple task as looking for a nice restaurant to go eat, we are making decisions. We are looking at information and making decisions. So in this context file, all of that source of information is going here. This is where it goes. So this is where all the knowledge lives. And then the instructions are where I want to actually explain this to in a little bit better. Context files is where all the data, all the knowledge lives that enables you to make that decision. Instructions is how you make that decision and how you execute on that. So make sure you have that separation and understand it, because this is key for when you're actually building agent of any kind, whether it's a simple thing, it's a simple agent that looks at, it does a Google search and finds you a new restaurant to eat at every Friday. This pattern lives in a simple thing like that, as well as something super complex where you are asking it to look at all your weekly communications through email, Zoom calls, Slack messages, and asking it to create a weekly to-do list for you. That's a little bit more complex agent. The restaurant finder is an easy agent, but this pattern is consistent across. Context files are where source of information or data lives, and instructions are the how to make that decision or how to do the job that you want the agent to do lives. Cool? Okay. What changes per task is the data is continuously evolving. If you've made a complex agent, then, or even a simple agent, the context files can continuously evolve. It gets updated. So instead of, there are ways to make sure that continuous update can happen by way of connectors and things like that. So the ask can change, but everything else remains consistent. So here are the actual 5 layers of building an agent. Who the agent is. So identity are the templates for identity. So define who the agent is, the role, the mission, default audience, voice, and tone rules. Then comes the context. And we'll come back to this slide. So when we are actually building one agent, we'll come back and refer to this. But for now, just have a mental model of these are the things that are like the anatomy of the agent. The agent needs an identity. The agent needs context. The agent needs capabilities. So capabilities are skills, and skills are a little bit, I don't know. I find it hard to explain skills even to the most technical people, but I think it is easier explained to folks like us who don't think in terms of binary writing code. Skills are ability to do something, and that can be drafting, reading, analyzing, anything that in a job description you would put, for example, for a product manager. The skills that a good product manager needs is to be able to do competitive analysis, to do user research, to do product research, to write requirements. These are all different skills. And so you can take a second to think about this for your own job. So if you're in marketing, um, what is a skill? Is funnel building a skill? Is copywriting a skill? So think about it like that for your own domain and figure out what are the skills that makes your job like that. That is a signal to say that a person is performing your role, your job really well. And that's how I look at skills, right? So coming back to the agent. So agent has identity, agent has context. Context is the data we said. Then it's capability. So capabilities are defined as skills, specific things that you want it to do. There is a certain step-by-step way of doing it, and you don't want to teach it every day. Like you don't want to teach it to write like you every single day. You just want to create a skill. You don't want to teach it to do what's the word I'm looking for? Weekly business report, for example. You generate weekly business reports as a human professional. There are certain steps that you do every week when you do the weekly business report. You can convert those steps into a skill and teach it. So all you have to say every Friday is generate the weekly business report. And you've already taught it that capability of writing the report. So it will just follow those instruction and make it super consistent. So all of these capabilities are designed to make the output consistent. So far, so good. This is a bit dense. We can revisit this at the end after we've actually built something to make sure this theory actually translates to practice and that you understand what I'm talking about. But capabilities, skills are that connectors and file access, and then the output format. These are all the different capabilities that you'll give to an agent. Then you give it logic. Logic is going to live in the instruction. So you are telling it rules on how to do the job beyond the skills, default assumptions to make, when you want the agent to be autonomous versus when you want the agent to defer to you, when you want it to do 90% of the job and for you to be the last person reviewing. There is a technical or a term, a fancy term to explain this escalation rules. It's called human in the loop, or HITL. So if you do work in the tech industry, although in a non-technical role, you might hear this word HITL or HITL. That's what it means. Human in the loop, meaning that this is a workflow where agent does a lot of work but doesn't fully execute on it. So like it will draft an email but won't send it. It will wait for you to review and hit the send button, that kind of thing. And then you have the guardrails, which is what keeps it dependable, the boundaries, so the agent doesn't go off and make a lot of assumptions. So it's guardrails actually give you a signal that this is what you need to rely on it, to outsource. So what with guardrails, I like to think about it from the other side, which is what makes me not trust this agent. And I take those questions and I put them as guardrails. So for example, if it just makes up stuff, so then I put it as a guardrail to say, do not make up information, do not make up data, right? If in email, for example, if it starts using slang or unprofessional language, if that worries me, that, oh, for me to outsource my email responding to this agent, I'm worried, what if it like sends a nasty email to my customer or user? Then I'm going to put that as a guardrail. Always use professional language. I'm super simplifying it, but I want you to, in your agent persona scenario, that's how you think about guardrails. That's just trying to give you like a mental model on what guardrails actually mean. Guardrails are the boundary you put around your agent to prevent it from becoming harmful. So guardrails are what increases the harmlessness of the agent, essentially. Okay. All right. So quickly going into the identity and context. So we're going to talk about role and mission, voice and tone roles, gold standard examples. So if it's a drafting agent, you're going to give it samples of your writing. What good looks like is very helpful. These agents, AI in general learns from prediction. These are highly models that are highly intelligent and making predictions of what the next best word, next best sentence is. So if you show it what good looks like, it will try to imitate it. Audience and default. So if you are making it to do something that you intend to share it with the rest of the world, or whether it's your leadership or your peers or your customers or whoever else, if you tell it who it's for, it optimizes for that. Of course, context library, reference docs, and then the basically identity and context. The more background knowledge you give it, the better. I do not mean by this, though, for you to dump your whole entire company's wiki, because then it's going to get confused. Because remember, these are still not as intelligent as us. And if searching through information on Confluence is tedious for us, it's even more so for these things. So relevant information, but more information on it. One mental model is, when I'm building agent, I think if I was lucky enough to have an intern work for me and I'm outsourcing them, I'm assigning them this small job that I want them to do, what is the information I need to give them for them to be able to successfully do that job? That's the level. Fresh out of college or like a university student intern. If you think about it like that and think, how would I train them to do this job for me so I don't have to do it and I can just review and approve? That's the level that we are playing at for now. For now, when you're first building the agent, eventually they can learn and improve, but starting point is that. Okay, then we're going to look at capabilities and logic. So skills, output formats, connectors, how to do file access, how to make a route, how to route information, where to stop, and default assumptions. Then we go into guardrails. We talked about it where we wanted to flag information. We tell it not to fabricate stuff. Basically, whatever you need it to do so you can trust the output. You can also say, if it's doing some kind of matching, you can give it instructions to give you the confidence at which it's doing this. What's your confidence level in this assessment? Things like that. Stuff that you never wanted to do. And then how are you going to test for good quality approval? So today we want to build a meeting follow-up agent. And the way we are going to do it, first let's talk about what this is, and then I will get into Claude and actually start showing you how to build this meeting follow-up agent. So, here, 1 second. Meeting follow-up agent is essentially, we all have busy lives as professionals. So everyone is sitting in meetings all day. I'm hoping you don't sit in as many meetings as I do. It's extremely tedious and you're running from, oftentimes, what happens is you run from one meeting to the other without having time to actually distill in between meetings. And you're like going super fast context switch, or didn't have time to actually take notes on what you promised someone you will do. And that has happened to me more than I like to accept, that I'll say I'll do something and then oops, I didn't make a note, it didn't go on my to-do list, and then I forgot, and then they're following up in a week and I'm like, oh my god, yes, I have to do this, I promised you. And as a professional, you wanna, my thing is, it builds credibility. If I say I will do something, I want to be that person that does what they said they will do. It's all about building professional credibility. And I hate it when I forget these things. So I built a meeting follow-up agent for myself. So that's what we're going to build. And I'm hoping keeping it generic enough that everyone can leverage, because most everyone sits in meetings, I'm thinking. So basically, the input for meeting follow-up agent is going to be raw, messy meeting notes or a transcript. And you can just paste it manually, or you can copy and paste it from a transcription tool. So now let me talk about access at work, right? Some companies will have, you may have Zoom, you may have Copilot, you may have Granola. These are all the tools that you can, sorry, Teams does meeting transcription. The delta where this input thing gets a little bit dicey from one person to the other is I might be able to connect my Claude directly to my Zoom so that meeting transcript feeds into Claude on an ongoing basis. Every meeting I go to, it's a pipeline. If you don't have the ability because your work blocks you from doing those types of connections, you can manually copy and paste into a folder or into Claude, or basically there are ways to either automate that aspect or copy and paste. And then the output of this meeting follow-up agent is going to be a recap, the action item table with owners and dates, and the drafted follow-up messages. So not every meeting will have takeaways, but ideally my goal is that every meeting I go to after that, it creates a summary, a to-do list, who said they will do what and by what date, and sends it to all the meeting participants. Whether I'm the host or not, it doesn't matter. That's kind of the goal. So far, so good. Okay. Actually, we have a couple of minutes. I want to, before I go into completely just building, I want to ask if there are any questions with regards to the dense information that we talked about as it relates to building skills and connectors and file access. And if you would rather just wait until after we do the demo, that's fine too. But I want to make sure that any questions are there. I want to answer them. Okay. So then let us actually go into
Yuri, apologies. There's a really cool question in the chat that I would second. Where do MCP tools and servers come in?
That's a good question. Okay, so that begs me to explain what MCP is. So let me explain. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Model as in the model that you are using from Claude, so Opus, Sonnet, Fable, if you still have access. But model, how you give model more context, and the way to do that. So MCP is essentially organizational way to build like a tunnel between Claude and a specific organization's data that Claude has, the company that built Claude, Anthropic, has made, so that businesses, organizations, like so that they can go beyond just individual users to organizational users, and they can start selling Claude to large companies who are worried about their data getting out. And MCP, think of MCP as like a wire or a USB connection between Claude, the model, and your any given company's data. It's similar to connectors. It's just an additional way to continuously feed data from your company into Claude. So think of this like you have, if your company uses Jira or Confluence, Atlassian has built MCPs. So it's yeah, Madhu said it right. It's a universal travel adapter. It is a secure gateway connection to connect the company's safe and secure data in a safe and secure manner with Claude without having to do it over and over again. So it's a one-time thing. You connect Claude with MCP, you do the authorization like your OAuth, sign up, sign in, and then it's a continuous pipeline from that information going into Claude. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Kunal, you are right. Meetings end with planning. There is a meeting to plan for the meeting that needs another planning meeting. That has happened. I have lived in that world too. All right. Let me start to show you the actual blueprint, and we will come back to the slides. You all should have access to this handout. I'm going to be referring this handout quite closely, assuming you can see my big screen here so we can keep going. Let me make this a little bit bigger. I basically want to show you the handout and Claude and do it all together at once. Okay, so let's actually build this agent. So we're gonna build, the handout has a summary of everything that I talked about earlier, so you can refer to it later. But if you open the link, go to this, scroll down and go to this agent number 1 built live in the session handout section. And then in Claude, go to project and create a new project. And then we are going to call it meeting follow-up agent. Or you can name it whatever you want it to call it. And then we are going to go ahead and paste the job description. So I have gone ahead and created kind of like a long prompt that I want. You can copy it, you can change it to however you want. But basically the idea is that you go in instruction and you give it all of these instructions. So let's go ahead and actually copy it and bring it here. And these are basically, this is where the meat of the pie is. So let's actually look at these, right? And this is a little bit, hang in there with me because I want to map you to these, right? So we said identity and context. So here's the role and mission, and here's what it looks like in how I say it. So you can say, you are my meeting follow-up agent. Your job is turn my raw meeting notes and transcription into polished follow-ups. So nothing agreed in a meeting ever gets lost. I work as, and then you put in your role. So I will say director of AI products, and I work as applied systems. Now, one thing to note is if you are like me wearing different hats, when you build an agent, use it for the purpose. So if I'm making this meeting follow up for my work related meetings, then I'm going to say I'm a director of products at Applied System. If I'm making it for my cohort, my everything where I'm wearing a hat of a teacher and instructor, I will say I'm a guest lecturer at UT Austin, or I am a trainer on Maven. So whatever you make this for, make sure you give it that right role and context. That's important to know. Oftentimes, if I'm building an agent because I want to organize my family calendar, then I won't say I work for X company. I will say I'm a mom of 2 boys who are this age with these interests. So I'm just giving you these examples because this is a starter template. How you make it your own and how much context you give it will directly impact the quality of the work or output that you get. Okay. So, and then my team is, and then I can say my team is PMs or whatever. Then the second bit here is the voice and tone. And the starter template is intentionally very small because we want to give it succinct to the point instructions, very facts based, very like direct. That's why it's not a long essay and it's very like to the point. So then the next one is voice and tone rules, confident, concise, and no corporate fillers, because it is, we all have a style. Some people like to be super blunt and direct and to the point. Some have a differently, if you're a leader, you could have a servant leader style, or you could have a coach mentor style, or you could have a manager style. Whatever your style is, whatever your tone and style is, put it here. If you don't know what that is, you can even ask in a separate chat, define my style, or give me some examples of what I'm looking for, or here are some samples of how I communicate, what's my style. And then Claude is really good at doing that. By the way, that's another little tip. If you don't know how to write prompts properly, you can actually just ask Claude in a separate chat in natural language what you want it to say, and it will generate that prompt for you. This technique is called meta prompting. So whenever you hear meta prompting, all it means is you're asking Claude, or maybe sometimes what I like to do is I like to tell Gemini to write a prompt for me for Claude, and varying degrees of good, better, best. I do tend to use different tools and different items for different, like personal life is one tool, professional is another, work related is another, teaching is another, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's meta prompting. Basically written in my voice, so warm but direct, concise, no corporate fillers, so forth. And then I can actually say, see gold standard recap in project and files and match its instruction and tone. So if I don't want to elaborate too much on here, I can just say be direct, or warm and direct, or educational and direct, or whatever. Like when I generate any content for this course, my intention is always to be like a friendly mentor tone, but that's not the same tone I use in my director role at work. There it's more warm but professional, but holding the bar high, direct, that kind of stuff, right? So you will know intent with some introspection what you're looking for. And then you can, if you don't know or don't want to spend the time, you can just give it gold standard samples in project files, and it should be able to give you that. Then we go to output and format. So there is more context information that you can add here. Output and format is, how do you want the output structured? This will depend on what agent you're building. This is a meeting agent, so I want it to give me the output of meeting summary in bullet points. But if I'm asking it to do, like, say, a competitive analysis agent, that's going to look like a much longer report. And I can tell it then, in the project files, I've uploaded a sample template, always follow that. And that's all I need to say here, and it will always defer to that template. Is this good? Are you guys following? So far, so good. Any questions? Okay. I see nods, so I'm gonna keep going. Then the action. So in this case, because it's a meeting agent, I want it in this format. So output format is very much this section. Expect to change every time you make an agent, because what you want it to do is going to look very different from one agent to another. I just leave it at that. Then here are my routing rules. So I'm basically giving it some basic instructions on how I want it to route the rules. So basically I'm saying classify the meeting from the notes, whether it's one-on-one. Then I usually, actually in my personal instructions where I have done this, if it's one-on-one, I don't record my one-on-one. Like, I want that to be a safe space for my team members to say whatever they want to say. So in like my leadership one-on-ones, I don't record that. So I can just, if you are the same, you can just say it here that these are not recorded, ignore. But you can give it different samples if you want to. If you don't have any such rules, whatever rules you have, put it here. If you don't have any rules, you can just wing it. And you can totally just wing it at the first time and delete this whole section, use the agent, test it. When it fails, you will know what needs to be added here. That's another harder, longer way of doing this if you don't want to be intentional and think about it ahead of time. Okay, so then we have default assumptions. So like, again, I didn't know to put this at the start, but then I noticed that sometimes it was looking at different dates, and I was like, okay, let me just put it here. So you can make it have some default assumptions as you want it to have. Otherwise, you can just not add this. And when it fails, you know that you need to add this here. Just know that you might have to come back and update these. Even if you do intentionally think this through, you might have to come back and update these as the agent fails or doesn't live up to your expectations. Guardrails, usually I say it like this. It's important to say these override everything above, because if you have by default given it conflicting information, you want the safety and security aspect of it to override everything else. So test this out, use it, and make it your own as you go. Then let me now show you. We talked about here about skills, named output formats, and some of these that require you to go beyond instruction. So we mentioned in the instruction that things are in project file. So let me show you where you add the project file. So here in context, in Claude, you're going to go here and upload information. That's one way to do it. You can upload individual information. Or, so if you have templates, definitely upload them here. But then let me show you how the continuous flow of data comes into play. So you go here and you can go to connectors and you can see, let's manage connectors. So you can see the whole page and you will be able to see this on your Claude. Anthropic has a lot of connectors. So you can see what I have connected here. I have not connected my Gmail, but if I wanted to give it access to my Gmail, I'll connect it here. Notion. There is a lot of tools, like you can see Zoom for Claude is there. You can, this here on all, it will show you everything. Connected will show connected, not connected will show what you've tried to connect, but it got disconnected, or you connected it once and then you disconnected it. One thing to make it easier, you can search here the name of your tool. So somebody give me a tool that you don't see here, but it has your data and you want to see if it's available with Claude. Just unmute and say something. Someone? What do you want me to search here?
Use grain. Grain.
Okay, so grain is not here. What else? Let's try a few. Anything else?
We can search for granola or maybe snowflake.
Yeah, Granola is there. I have it connected. So for those of you that don't know, Granola is a meeting transcription tool, similar to how Zoom transcribes, but Granola is it has a lot more features and it gets the transcripts really on point. It's very nuanced and it just does this one thing and it does it really well. Snowflake. Snowflake does not have a connector, but then let me show you where you can actually also search for different types of tools and plugins. This is my personal one. If you have an organizational one, you will have access to MCP servers as well, where you can connect this with organizational data like Confluence, like Jira, like Linear. And those are very good because it's a continuous pipeline. The plugins are Anthropic's take on ability to do entire roles. So if you are in legal, you can actually do legal plugin and install, and it can do these things. So that brings me to skills. Anthropic has built skills that they provide you out of the box. So these are legal skills: write a brief, do compliance check, do legal response. For those of you who are not legal, let's look at something that we might all be completely familiar with. Oh, I didn't mean to install it. No. Okay. Human resources. So draft an offer letter for a new hire. This is a skill that Anthropic gives out of the box. If you install this, you can just get started. You can manage it, edit it, and kind of get started. Here are other skills. compensation analysis, offer drafting, interview prep, onboarding, organizational planning, stuff like that. These are skills that Anthropic has pre-made, assuming what a general purpose offer drafting task might look like. The interesting part is that you can build your own skills. If you have something like that, like if you are in HR, for example, and you have to, you have certain steps that you follow when you draft an offer, you can actually build the skills by, let me show you again how to actually get skills. So go to the main agent, come here, go to skills, and if you go to manage skills and you go to add skills and create with Claude, it will take you to a new chat and it will invoke the skill creator thing and you can actually create a skill. What skill is nothing but a set of instructions that you can make it copy. And here, let's go here. Skill is nothing but a set of instructions that you have created and uploaded here for it to follow the same steps again. The way you invoke the skill is by typing this button here, and you can say, like I have a morning briefing skill. So if I say morning and I hit enter, it's gonna actually go and follow all the steps I told it to do, which is, you see it's loading a morning skill. So I've actually uploaded, this is the actual skill of the morning briefing and so forth, like all my instructions. So basically what I really want to tell you is that in that meeting follow-up agent, you can, depending on how complex that agent is, you can use the skills or not use it. You can enable different things. You can give it access to different tools. You can give it access to different software for it to get the information to do the job that you need it to do. Anthropic even has plugins that you can use and download. I keep the web search always on. You can turn it off if you don't want to, for like meeting follow-up, you don't need it to do web search. You can turn it off by just clicking on it again. And then the last thing I want to show you is, here is the actual model. You can go here and you can actually select different models based on the task. So if it's a simple task, use a smaller model like Sonnet. If it's a more complex task, use Opus. You can see I'm using Fable 5 only because it's awesome. It's a very heavy, it's a model which is extremely intelligent and can do a lot of heavy lifting, and it's free right now. That's why I just have it by default on, but you can change it with the level of effort as well. Now, one last thing. So we did all of this in Claude Chat. This agent will run in chat. This agent will run when you invoke it to run. So once you've uploaded all your files, you can say, run my meeting follow-ups, and it will run them. It will look at, right now it's not going to work because it's going to say I don't have, oh, maybe it will connect to meeting notes. Yeah, I haven't provided any notes. So if I gave it some notes and gave it access to Granola and ask it to do it, it will do it. The way to automate this, so the next thing here, beyond guardrails, is to actually automate this input. And the way to automate it is in this chat, under this meeting follow-up agent, click on this task here. This is co-work. You may or may not have access if you're doing organization, like if you're using company provided Claude, you may not have access. Some companies block this, so that's one. If you're using browser version, you may not have it. Download the actual Claude app anyway, even if it's a personal user or company. Always download the app, and you will be able to see cowork. So now that you go to cowork, you can actually do the scheduling part as well. Cowork is like adds the autonomous scheduling capability to this. So schedule my meeting follow-up. And when you do this, it's going to actually create a working folder where it's going to send you all the detailed information. And then it will ask you how you want it scheduled. And when it's scheduled, it shows up on this side under the scheduled tasks here. So see, now it's asking me questions. I said, schedule my meeting follow-ups. Do you want it daily at 5 p.m.? Do you want it each morning? Full follow-up, recaps, action only, and so forth. Once you choose, it's going to schedule, and then it's just going to show up in your Claude here. Okay, so then let me go back to in the handouts. I want you all to know that you have this information on how to build, not just how to build this, but there are a couple of additional like assignments, call it like ways to build different agents. But essentially the idea is as you keep building these, you will be able to, you will go from a blank project to a working agent and then test it. I have few instructions on what to look out for in the handout as well on like, so these agents will fail. Like I mentioned, you'll assume or imagine that you're going to come back to the area and you're going to need to update the instructions. But here is some information to actually look for. If the instruction gets too bloated, it starts to hallucinate and things like that. So always be watching out for some of these issues, problems. If you'll have this handout and the slide, so I wanted to really take some time and build it. Even if you just let it assume a lot of the instructions, let it do so. And then test it. And when it doesn't work or if stuff doesn't go, use this checklist to see which one of these is probably causing you the problem and try to fix it. I think there is no better way to learn AI than to build some of this. And then you will have two things, right? You will have something that saves you time, obviously, but you will know the boundaries of this thing, the possibilities and the boundaries. So the floor and the ceiling will be very clear for you with these agents. And once you do that, then the creative juices will flow. And as you go through your day, I'm hoping that you'll be able to do a lot more with these agents. So I truly believe in this, that one agent is leveraged, like you save some time, you save 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but like a whole workforce, building them, using them in your day-to-day, and actually sharing it with your org, your team is truly very career elevating and time saving, yes, but also like just levels you up like anything else. It's a massive unlock for you. So to that effect, this is why I've created the whole course. So in the course, we start by building individual skills that are in 45 minutes, an hour. I can only do a generic skill like that. Inside the course, we start by actually mapping your work to where AI fits. So you will create a list of what types of agents are required to build for your work. Then we actually build the context file. We build all of the instructions, the projects, everything very tailored and customized to your work, your role, your domain. Thank you for sharing all the domains in the chat because I'm going to go back and look at those. Once all of this is done, you build agents and then you teach one agent to pass off work to the next agent, to the next agent. So that's where the agents get chained together. And that's the idea of having a full army of agents or a whole AI workforce. And then week 4 is very much focused on you've built this, you've learned this, how to quantify the advantages. You achieve this massive skill. How do you actually package it properly and sell it at work? I find that that's the most missing part. A lot of us are very smart people. We know how to do a lot of things. And where people struggle is to actually sell it so that it becomes a leverage for you in your career. So that's what week 4 is kind of designed around: templates on how to measure ROI, templates on how to communicate about you being the like the most go-to person in the space of AI, to unlock whatever your why is, right? Whether you came here for your own business, or to get ahead in career, or to learn, to get a new job, to whatever that why is. Week 4 focuses on bridging the gap between learning a skill and actually positioning yourself for the why that you came for. So I believe every time I do a Saturday session like this, I think there is a window of 24 hours until the course sign up is at a discount, and then the price goes up. So if this was interesting to you, and if you're looking to sign up, I would say, and if you're going to sign up, I would say do it in the next 24 hours, because the pricing is at a ladder and it keeps going up 24 hours after I do this course, the free session. And then, one other thing. The cohort size is, I want to say we have I think we have 5 seats left now. I'm pretty sure. I'm keeping the cohort size intentionally small so that I can do one-on-one hand holding and customizing the work that we're doing with your individual roles, because it's designed for various different roles. I used to teach a course for product managers. This is not that. This is for anyone who's non-technical professional and wants to use AI for their work. So for that reason, I've kept it intentionally small. So when the seats are up, then November, I believe, is the next time we do this. Okay. If course is not on your mind, but you still want to keep learning, the best way to keep learning is to keep coming to these Saturday sessions. They are free. They are intentional. Please do the work. The handouts are there to make it super easy for you. Even if you don't customize it, just copy and paste the prompts. Like, I cannot serve it on a platter more than this. Nobody can make it more easier than this, but you still have to do the work. I really want you to do it. Build an agent, reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you need help, or if you were successful in building also, I want to know. Like, I really put in a lot of time and energy in building these resources. So I want to know that folks are using it. And it's free, so please go and build it. And if you want to convert this into Copilot or something like that, and you get stuck anywhere in that area, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. Okay, that was pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. I will now open this up for the more interesting part, which is questions. How was it? Was there anything anything that you wasn't clear? There were some dense things like skills and things like that. So if it wasn't clear, I'm here. I can answer any questions you might have. Just please feel free to raise your hand or unmute and ask. Okay. Okay. Sanjali, I know you DM'd me DM'd me a question about my skincare. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I really don't have any secrets, but I'd be happy to talk skincare with you on LinkedIn so we don't bore the rest of the group here. Okay. I
Hi. I have one question regarding if I building different agent, how can I connect them with each other?
Yes. So we have instructions. Hard to show you and do it here in 5 minutes. Maybe I do a free session on connecting these agents. You build agents, and then there is way to pass off information by storing the output in a shared folder, and having the other agent pick up that information from that shared folder. That's the shortest possible way I can tell you to do that. For show and tell, we do get into this in week 3 in our actual course, and see if I can do a weekend session like this on just connecting different agents. But thank you for asking that question.
Thank you so much.
All right. If this was all, I will let you all go. I really hope Spain wins. I'm totally Team Spain. Hopefully, you all enjoy the World Cup. And I am going to see you next week. Quick note, next week our cohort starts. So we will move to Friday from next week because this time we'll be running the actual cohort. So Friday next week. Hope to see you. Same time. Bye. Thank you very much.